What's up, guys? It's your boy JD, Jordan Delks, mindset guru and basketball trainer right here at the Barn Compete Training Academy, right here in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, surrounded by cornfields. If it's your first time here, I want to welcome you. If this is your regular place to get your mind right, your family, to my wife, Courtney, and I. Before we chop it up with our guest here today, very special guest, I want to direct you to our website, competetrainingacademy.org. Our latest mindset and basketball programs here for the fall are available for application. Go check them out, competetrainingacademy.org. And today, I get the pleasure and honor of introducing my man, Akeem Springs. Akeem, thanks for joining us here today.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, and truly, like, it's crazy how God brought us here today.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
Just kind of start us off. We're going to get into your story because it's so inspirational. You and I were just chopping it up a little bit for the podcast. I see so much inspiration in it. But, tell the audience how we got connected.
So, how y'all doing? If y'all don't know me, Akeem Springs. How we got connected is through the Dizzy Run Pro-Am. Brandon Wood, I played this previous season with Brandon Wood. He's telling me, he's like, Akeem, you trying to get a run? So I got a good guy, Jordan. He sends me your Instagram, so I'm checking out your Instagram. I'm like, oh, definitely, I want to play. So then get there, we have our brief introduction. Like, hey, man, we got to meet. You're like, yeah, come on. Like, it was like, all right, like, yeah. So it was cool, but that's how we got started.
Yeah.
I think we got each other number through there.
Yep.
And then, yeah, man, that's how we
Yeah, shout out B Wood for the intro.
For sure.
When B Wood texted me, I'm like, man, Minnesota, this is crazy. I'm a Purdue guy, Big Ten right here. So I was like, man, I can't wait for him to hoop with us.
Appreciate it.
But we just got done working out right here at the barn. Tell the audience, your experience, driving in here. What did you expect? What did you experience here at the barn here today training?
And I'm going to keep it real, man. So first experience at the barn, but I've been seeing guys in the barn. I don't know if Kyle Guy is one of them that does some stuff in the barn, but over the past few summers, I've been seeing guys in that slogan, we work out in the barn. Yep. I've been seeing that even before I got to Indiana.
We train in the barn, baby.
So I was seeing that, and I used to always tell, even my fiance, Bree, I'm like, babe, that's my dream. I'm like, to just have that, I'm like, so.
Minnesota, the barn.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, right? So then I played at the barn. I'm like, this all feels right. Yeah. It feels right. So then driving up, we're seeing how isolated it is, and it's like if you're a hooper, you can't ask for more. You cannot ask for more of the seclusion. You got everything you need, all the recovery stuff, but then the workout is working with you, hearing some of the stuff you say, and that's what I know from being a professional, being around professionals. It's the mind. Anybody can put us through a drill, but if you don't know how to structure these drills, structure your session that engages the whole pro, I feel like that's where a lot of trainers miss at. But not with you. I feel like even coming into it, it's like a mental preparation for the workout. So, man, that's my first experience at the barn. If you haven't gotten experience, man, get to the barn, man. Get to the barn. I know I'll definitely be back for sure.
I appreciate it, and you family, man, excited to keep working with you. But Akeem, tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up. We kind of had another commonality there. I spent 2 years in Elgin. You're from Waukegan. Tell us about your upbringing.
So coming up, my dad's side of the family is Illinois. My mom's side of the family is Mississippi. So I'm growing up until I think about fifth, sixth grade, I was back and forth each summer. And it wasn't a plan, but we would get with our parents, they co-parented, and we would get with them. As I just want to say, it's it happened every summer. Growing up, I realized the toll that took on them. But so that's how it was. But growing up in Waukegan, big into sports, played football and basketball growing up, was really good in both. But as we talk about the Big Ten, I always felt like I was a Big Ten kid. Growing up in the Midwest, I knew I was a bigger guy, bigger guard. Yep. I always felt like I'm supposed to be a Big Ten kid. I always felt like that. So growing up through the years, my first Big Ten look was Wisconsin. That's when Bo Ryan was there. Yep. So I went with Bo. And actually on my visit, I had the younger, is it Plumlee, Mason, and those guys? They had the younger one. Yep. They had 3
Miles.
Yeah, they had
Mason, Miles, Marshall.
I had so I had the younger one on my visit with me, and And so it was dope. Wisconsin, then I got Northwestern. And then I had a teammate. You might know him, Jeremy Richmond.
Yep.
Jay Rich. Jay Rich is like big cuz for me. He was at Illinois, so growing up, high school, we played at the Illinois team, captained everything. So Illinois Big Ten was what I thought about myself as a player. So just growing up in the Midwest, that's how I was groomed. That's the kind of game we played. I played I played in Wisconsin, and I played with a coach who knew a lot of the Wisconsin set, so the swing offense. I knew that in high school.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, so that's my upbringing, man. I feel like growing up in the Midwest, being around the Big Ten, you get the best of everything as far as basketball. You get the bigger guards, you get the big bigs where you play in Purdue and they setting these huge screens, and it's like you get all of that growing up in the Midwest. So that was my upbringing, man. Midwest basketball, Chicagoland basketball. You get the tough guards. You know the Chicagoland tough guards, but man, that's what it was.
I love it, man. And you were all-decade team for Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
So I kind of want to stay there at your career in Minnesota.
Okay.
Talk about the Big Ten. What's your favorite Big Ten arena to play in other than the Barn? Because the Barn, honestly, is amazing. Got my wife, Courtney. She played for Purdue women's basketball. That was her favorite place to play. Amazing, unique place. But what was your favorite place to play in the Big Ten?
That's a tough one. So definitely outside of the Barn, because that stage is and you feel as an athlete, once you get to that level, it's a performance every night on that Barn. But after that, it's tough because Purdue, when you just hear your echo when you get to Purdue, like that's what we did. We did that for 30 minutes at shoot around my first time at Purdue. It was like just hearing the echo at Purdue. Just seeing how they light it up. I don't know if this is a tradition for them, but just seeing how they light the gym up right before the game.
Yep.
That energy, just feeling that at Purdue. But I'll say my best, because of the tougher crowd, Michigan State. Playing at Michigan State, 15 minutes before the game, that bottom circle, that bottom ring is standing room. The students are jumping, getting at you the whole game. So I was like, Michigan State, or Wisconsin. After that, Michigan State or Wisconsin. Just because if you get a win in the Kohl Center, it's nothing like that. If you get a win in the Kohl Center, man, it's nothing. It's nothing like that.
It's a tough place to win.
Yes. So, and I actually got a win there. Actually for Wisconsin or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was unheard of.
Yeah.
That's IUPUIB Purdue.
It is.
Yeah,
that's big time.
Yeah, no one's doing that. So I actually got a win in the Kohl Center. So I say away games, either the Kohl Center or playing at Michigan State for sure.
So what year pro are you now?
7.
7th year pro.
1 in the 7. Yes,
a lot of hoopers here on the pictures around the barn. A lot of hoopers listening to this podcast right now, trying to get to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
We say all the time, treat the game like a pro.
Mm-hmm.
What is the foundation of our training is mind, body, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that really connected with you and I and why you're here. And like, as a pro, like, just talk about, give our audience your process, like mind, body, spirit of what you do day in, day out to take care of your mind, body, and spirit.
And I'll say why first, right? So
gotta start with that.
So I think as athletes, we have a natural reflection process after each season. If we didn't win the championship, if we didn't get that ultimate goal, there's a natural, okay, what was our goal? Why didn't we get there? What can we do to get better? Okay, cool. So for me, in sports growing up, that was natural for me to get to a place. And a lot of times I had injuries when I was top of my career. So I had to take a step back and I say, man, what is it? What's going on? So my process now comes from looking at what happened in the past and was wrong. And I feel like you say, when my spirit wasn't right, something would always fall. If it was having the wrong attitude at the wrong game, or injury happened this game, and it's like, how did that happen? Big Ten tournament. I got hurt my last game of my college basketball career. I'm playing in the Big Ten tournament against the last team I have to beat every team in the Big Ten. Michigan State's the last team so I'm one of the only ones who can say that. I don't know if anyone says that, but I got hurt that day, ruptured my Achilles. It's my birthday. It's my final year, and it's right before I become a pro. So, and that's one that really made me sit down and look. Okay, but it really made me turn to God, and not that He wasn't there, but like lock in. Like if I'm not 100% sure with this, then everything goes off. So now my routine is I make sure my spirit is right, and that's why I love your training and what you do. Is I have to make sure my spirit is right with any situation going into any moment. If I make sure my spirit is right, I feel like the Father is so involved in all of our lives that He will lead you to what you need to do to take care of your body. He will lead you to even bringing Akeem Springs to come meet with Delks. He'll give you what you need for your soul.
Right.
If you commit, He says, seek ye first the kingdom. If you commit to that first, I feel like as a pro, and I know we go through so much, and I know people are asking like, okay, no, but how do you make this shot? I'm telling you, get this right first. And He says He says He'll provide everything else you need. So that's literally, if I had to give someone my process, get right with God first, trust Him to do the rest. Trust Him to do the rest. Trust Him to put you right around the right people. Trust Him to let the right inspiration come off. Even if it's about motivation. Okay, what about the motivation? What more motivation is it knowing that God put me here with a purpose? He's going to help me along that. So that's my process.
Dude,
that's my process.
You're preaching. And I love that word purpose.
No.
What is your purpose? Like, what is your purpose? What's your why of like pro basketball?
Order. And I think that's for me in every part of life. I think He allows me to have basketball to practice order, but I believe that my purpose in life is order. So even when we talk about our routine, if we get into like the tactical stuff of preparing for my game, like even with my shot, I am form shooting. I'm left, right, up. Okay, now switch feet. Okay, now let's bag up. Let's go catch and shoot mid range. Why? Because it's an order to everything.
Right.
And so I believe my role in life and my purpose in life is to provide order and to find that order. So sometimes me providing order would be I'm the leader on the team.
Yeah.
You feel me? Keeping a sense of order as that, or even being a leader on the team. This year, I played for a coach that was the same age as me. Order in making sure that the guys that I'm leading know that we have to respect this coach based on position. If we don't respect him, order says we can't win. I don't care who the coach is. If team doesn't respect coach, can't win.
Right.
So it's like, okay, and I remember coming to some points of the season like, hey guys, I know he's our age, but it won't be successful if we move like this. So it's just order. That's what I believe.
Wow. That's mature. I want to talk about, I love that word order. I've never heard that before. I like that. That's a great segment right there in the pod. I want to talk more about the basketball process, like the 7 years as a pro.
Okay.
Have you seen like the parity, like from you played against a lot of NBA players, like like there's hoopers everywhere, man. Everywhere.
Yep.
Like just talk about that, just kind of what you've experienced in 7 years of like, because I like to say that like, besides like the top 25, 30 NBA players,
I agree.
The top 150 ain't in the league.
Yep.
Like they everywhere.
Yep.
So like, have you experienced that?
Absolutely. And it makes you respect the game. It gives you an appreciation of the game, just going certain places. Like this past year I played with Cape Town, just being in Africa and seeing what those guys have to go through to get ready. Like, I mean, they're outside working on concrete courts. And so that's what I've got over the years is that respect the game. There's good players everywhere. It's just the right situation. There's literally, like what you said, we know top guys. Like even this past year, Kimba was not in the league.
Crazy.
Like that's like to just
Crazy.
Jabari Parker. I grew up playing with Jabari Parker. Shout out JP. Bari's overseas. Bari's one of them. Bari averaged 20 and 12 for the Bucks. Bari had a time where he averaged as a 3-4 averaged the most dunks in the NBA per game. He was getting 2 dunks per game. It's like crazy numbers he was doing. He's overseas. So it's like when you really like sit down and look at that, it's like, hey man, respect the game, and it allows you to appreciate it more, because no matter where you go, even if you're one of those top players, like you can't just come out here and half step depending on the league and expect to be successful.
Yeah, that's so true. You just got to keep going. You got to fight through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of adversity, I want to ask you, looking back, you kind of, dabbled in a little bit already in the pod, but like, if you could look back at a time you went through adversity, I like to say in my mindset training that adversity leads to blockages if you don't deal with them.
Okay.
And you're not dealing with it properly, and you haven't dealt with it until you're at a place of gratitude about your adversity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because from that gratitude, you get the spiritual lesson from the adversity.
Come on.
So talk to us about a time you went through adversity. Time's gone by. Now you're grateful. And then tell us the spiritual lesson that you pulled out from that adversity.
Senior year at Minnesota. I'm top 10 in the Big Ten shooting 3-pointers. We have a practice. And this is just when I'm just rolling. We had a practice towards like probably the last quarter of the year. We had a practice and we had coaches come in. Now, Big Ten, we always have kids and fans come in and just like might be an invite. Cool. So I'm thinking it's one of those, right? Come in, I'm shooting, I'm having a good practice. My coach pulls me over and said, Akeem, you haven't missed 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, coach. I'm like, what's up? He's like, you know who that is over there? I'm like, no, I thought that's the Wolves front office. I'm like, yeah, keep practicing. He's like, don't stop. He's like, I don't know what you're doing. He's like, I just need to let you know that. So cool. So that year, top 10, again, beat every team in the Big Ten. I get hurt at this spot. Like, I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm top 10 in 3-point, so valuable. And they sold me as a 3-and-D guy. I'm like, okay, top 10 in the Big Ten. I'm proving my 3-point shooting. 3-and-D, guarding your shooters. I'm guarding your Matt McQuaid and stuff like that. I'm guarding 55. What's his name? Your shooter from Purdue.
One more.
Each one. No. He might not have wore 55.
Sasha Stefanovic.
No. He played G League. Might have wore 31.
Dakota Mathias.
There you go. Dakota. I got Duncan Robinson. I have Kevin Herter. Like, these are my matchups. And I'm chasing them around, but I'm being effective. Melo Trimble. We have a game. I got Melo Trimble first half, second half, and I outscore him, play well both sides of the ball. So I'm like, I'm showing this. I'm thinking in my head, NBA. But I've been thinking that for a few years now, and it's happened like that where I've been playing well. Cool. So what happened? The injury happened. Before my injury happened, my mom called, and my mom's really big in her face. She's like, baby, you need to slow down. I didn't understand what she was talking about. Right. So that year at Minnesota, I was so locked in. I remember having a conversation with my coach. He was talking about some school stuff. And he's like, Keem, you got to meet with your counselors. And I showed him a completed paper. I'm like, Coach, we're probably together for 6 months. We're here for basketball. I have a degree. I know how to finish school. Let's do basketball, right? And so there's times where I'm sleeping in the gym. I'm just working. My mom called. She said, baby, you got to slow down. I'm not understanding. I'm like, I'm just focused. But she knew spiritually I wasn't tied into God as I was in the past. Cool. So now I get hurt on the biggest stage. And I went through what I would call almost a depression because basketball had been the thing that I used to cope. So my grandmother passed when I was at Milwaukee. I went to the gym.
Yep.
Breakups, I went to the gym.
Right.
Anything happens, I go to the gym.
Sanctuary.
And so what God told me was that I had made something in my life bigger than him. That's why he took it away from me. And so through that process, he said, without basketball, who are you? He said, and if you struggle to answer that, then how can you really be my child? And so going through that process, and that's what I said, I looked back on why he would allow me to be injured. I mean, no, my last AAU season, we're in nationals. I got Stanford. I got all of these schools.
Yep.
I tear my leg. My freshman year in high school, I'm playing with Jeremy Richmond, McDonald's All-American. We got a team that went on to go be second in the state that year. I'm supposed to be a starter. We're in our scrimmage game. I do the little thing with your knee,
Yep.
mess up my knee. So I mean, every point, it's like he allowed me to do the work to get to the top, but then no. And so, what's the spiritual lesson I take away from that is that once you decide that, hey, you know what, I want to live for God, He won't let you do it without Him.
Wow.
He will sit you down because, and it's a form of love. That's where I got up from it, because it was anger at first. Like, why? Like, and I would like see guys that I maybe compete with and that I've shown better than,
Yeah.
and you start to question and you wonder, but God, and then he'll sit me down and He'll show me some spiritual battles that people have to go through, and He'll ask me a simple question: were you ready to rightly deal with this spiritual battle? And He's like, if you can't say yes, then how can you be mad that I didn't put you somewhere? This is protection. I've been protecting you. And so the spiritual lesson has been trust God, and trust Him not only through the good, trust Him through the bad, because I don't believe He made me get injured. But I believe He allowed it, knowing that it will produce a dependence on Him.
Yeah, my man is preaching.
No, so this is me now. So that's why when I said I saw you and I was drawn to it,
Facts.
yeah, it's like I found somebody who I feel like really get this. Like, you know, so even with basketball, it's taken me to know that it says whether you eat or drink, all things do it to the glory of God. So I'm like, man, if I even in basketball, if I can't figure out in my way how to make this serve Him, it's an idol. He's not going to let me do it.
It's a fact. And that happens to all of us. And I appreciate you being real and vulnerable with that.
Man.
Like, that'll preach right there. I know that segment right there is huge. Go back, rewind, and listen to that again, because that's the game of life.
Man.
Akeem, I like to say, like, your best audience is who you used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you've been there.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Right?
I like that one.
Like I said, we got a lot of hoopers trying to get to where you're at today. I want to take you back to, like, we got a lot of high schoolers that come through the barn here training, trying to get that Scotty, trying to go to the league, all that good stuff. Like, knowing what you know now, hindsight being 2020, take you back to your senior year of high school, what would you have told that 18-year-old Akeem Springs?
Don't be scared of being different, because and I just keep it real, man. I believe God. I believe this is the truth. So when I speak, I'm speaking from the stance that God is true. Okay, cool. So I would tell myself, don't be scared of being different, because in high school he had me near him, as far as he made sure I read the book. He made sure that that's what I turned to. And in high school, when everyone else is posting about going out and party and I post a scripture, it's weird. And I feel almost as, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not trying to get all the girls. I'm not trying to, do all this. I feel like I'm wrong, even going into college. And it's harder in college, because now you don't have that protection of home. And if home has like thinking, now you're out, you're by yourself. And a lot of our campuses are worldly campuses. So if you don't have a group of believers around you, it's so toxic that without him, it's impossible to make it. So that's why I would say, going back, don't be scared. Don't be afraid of being different. Know that it's impossible to do it right without God.
Yep.
Like I remember thinking that I was doing it right, being a good person, and falling to some temptation, and God, like, that was an easy one for you to get over if you're with me. Like even the simple as be angry and sin not. Some of the decisions we can make when we're angry, then we turn around and have to face God. He's like, if you're with me, you never fall with that. So that's what I would tell myself. Don't be scared of being different. Know that you can't make it. You cannot do this right without God. And trust God and leave the consequences to Him.
Yo, this is so encouraging. Like, you are filling me up today, man. Like,
I told you we had to talk. I told you we had to talk.
Our brotherhood is crazy. Akeem, like we have CEOs, entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, a part of our mindset programs. Like you have an elite mindset. I'm just meeting you and I can just feel it. I can sense it. Steve, if you're watching this, you can see this dude has a glow about him, a light that shines out of him that's so bright. What encouragement, like just kind of as we kind of wrap up the podcast, what encouragement do you give the general audience here to keep going on their journey?
He is faithful, the one who started it to complete it. You feel me? Alpha and Omega, you said that today, which that got me going. It's like we serve a God that is Alpha and Omega. We serve a God that knows the future even in the present. He made the future, bagged up, and started it. So with our journeys in life, I heard a preacher say it. He said, your life is not an experiment, but an experience. He said, you're not experimenting, playing with your life. Your life is destined. You get to live and see what God wrote for you. So no matter where you are, know that the one who pulled you to start this mission, he's faithful to finish it with you. No matter where you are in your life, if it's business, if it's relationships, if you trusted God to start you with it, trust him. I promise you, he'll take you through. He says, what man starts to build a house and then looks and sees that and can't complete the task? You feel me? So he's saying that he's saying a good man, a good human wouldn't start to build and make sure he could complete it. So the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the all-merciful, the almighty God, how could I start something in you and not have enough to finish it? You know, so yeah, that would be my credit.
Reverend Springs on the podcast today. Getting goosebumps here. Like, I needed that word today. Like, I needed that. So thank you. And I know there's a lot of people on this podcast, literally all over the country and world listening to this, that needed to hear that too. We like to talk about the stages of a dream in our mindset program. There's the dream itself, like identifying it. Mm-hmm. Then there's the decision to go for the dream. Like, there's a lot of people who they know the dream, but they haven't decided to go for it because there's fear. There's false evidence appearing real in their life. Mm-hmm. Then there's delay. Mm-hmm. Then there's difficulties. Mm-hmm. Like, time goes by. Difficulties. It's hard chasing your dream that God put on your heart.
Doubt.
And yes, doubt. And then there's the dead end where you just want to give up. Mm-hmm. But that's like, the dead end, what people don't realize is exactly where you need to be, because that's when you say, Lord, have it. And that's when he takes it. And the very last stage of the dream is the deliverance, where God works in and through you and turns hopelessness to victory and delivers the dream.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you just said. In like, if wherever you're at listening to this, whether you're a hooper, whether you're a business person, whether you're a mom, just know that you got to trust God. And that you going through all these stages, those are the stages of a dream in our mindset training program, because of two things. One, God wants to have and desires a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. That's why you're going through those. To learn how to trust him, right? To learn to have a relationship.
Absolutely.
And then number two, to blow up the dream into something far greater than you could have ever imagined and done yourself. Because when you operate out of self, you're limited. But when you operate with him in partnership, it's limitless.
Absolutely.
So, Akeem, man.
I want to piggyback on what you just said. You said that the dead end is a part of each dream. And so I do this thing where I doubt and I see if that the word can prove it. I'm like, okay, well, the word proves that. What do you mean? Even Jesus got to that dead end. Father, if we can do another way, please. That's that dead end.
Like, listen, man.
I don't know which way to go. Father, this is Jesus the Christ. This is the one who walked and said, Lazarus. This is the one who said, see. This is the one who you feel me? This is him. He still got to that dead end point. So I just like to confirm. I'm like, man, I confirm that. I agree with that. Even Jesus got to a point like, Father, if there's another way,
take this cup.
But nevertheless, And but that's where the deliverance come from. And I don't think that we can even get to who we're supposed to be without getting to that dead end, because that's when you fully surrender.
Man,
When you come to the end of your ability, that's when you start to trust God.
brother, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And I know this is going to be one of the most listened to podcasts. And I know that there's so much encouragement in this podcast that you absolutely have to share this with the 1, 2, 5 people that God is literally placing on your heart right now as Akeem and I are talking. So keep going.
Man.
Keep going. Akeem, thanks for sharing energy today.
Thanks
It was
for
truly an honor.
Thanks.
Excited. God has great things in store for your future and your career. I'm honored to be a small part of it. And come check us out. You're going to see Akeem hoop Tuesday nights in the Dizzy Runs Pro-Am. And come check out the Compete Training Academy Barn Ballers. And please, as always, compete.
Yes, sir.
Do what God calls you to do, even when it's hard.